Hey, what's up, and welcome to On the Mat Chat podcast, where we are bringing on business owners to help inspire those in the community that want to become leaders in life. And today we have Mr. Evan Turner. How's it going?
I'm
Mr.
good.
Turner?
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mr. And actually in the ATA is Master. Yes, sir.
Something like that. Yeah, it's fine.
All right. So we have Master Turner in the house today, and he is going to share a little bit about his story and how martial arts has really impacted and inspired his life. So, Master Turner, let's start from the top. Where did you start your martial arts journey? How did it all begin for you? Let's start from the beginning.
Well, so I started when I was 3 years old. I started actually in the NASCAR circuit or on more of an open style circuit. And I'm the youngest of five boys.
Okay.
So at that time, it's pretty crazy. And of course, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles at an all-time high back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I actually got kicked out of daycare because I thought I was a Power Ranger, and I got into a fight at like 3 years old. So at that point in time, I was like, all right, my mom said, we got to find something to do with this, all this energy. And there was a martial arts school that was in the same shopping center pretty much that we would always go do all of our grocery shopping, things like that. And next you know, I'm signed up at 3 years old. My dad and my brother started with me, one of my brothers. And, it's literally all I've done, the only career I've ever had. I've been very fortunate to turn a passion into a career. And it was just one of those things where, I fell in love with not only the training aspect of it. I was a huge avid competitor for many, many years.
Yeah.
And then again, now on the later side, seeing as an instructor, seeing the transformation that we've been able to give back to the students and the stories that I'm sure we both have from students that we've changed and see growth over the years, no different than I'm sure that my instructors probably had, hopefully by being proud of what I've been able to do with my martial arts journey.
Right. That's awesome, man. And tell us a little bit about like that moment where you decided like, hey, I want to do this, full time. I want to make this a career. When did you start like the teaching side of it?
Literally, I think we found my fifth grade yearbook when I was helping my parents move. And in there, you put like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I put a karate master. And then I look back at all my friends who wrote like astronaut, football player. I'm like, they don't do that. They don't do that. Hey, you know what? I actually did that. Yeah. So I know from an early age it's something I always wanted to do, but that's the point that sticks out where it's like, this is something I knew that I kind of wanted to do and lean into a lot more. I started teaching classes like I want to say 13, 14 years old. And it was one of those times where my instructor said like, hey, go warm the class up. I was like, This is the moment. 45 minutes later, we're still doing warm-ups because I had no idea what to do. And then I remember getting my first paycheck. It was like $100 paid under the table. Just like, hey, you know what? You've been helping out. And my dad wanted to frame it. I'm like, wait, we're not going to cash it? Like, hold on. Like, this is my first time getting some money doing martial arts. Like, let's talk about this. And he was like, okay, we'll scan it, photocopy it, frame it, but then you can go do it. I was like, all right, cool. And then it hit me. I was like, wow, I was able to take a passion of mine and turn it into that side of career. And of course, be financially compensated for it. And it was really cool because my dad's a trumpet player, and my dad did the same thing. He grew up playing music from an early age, and he turned that into a musician and traveled the world and Broadway, worked for Disney, did all these crazy things. So I got to see that firsthand at a young age, taking something that you have a passion for, whether you want to call it a hobby or whatever you want to call it, and turn it into a lifelong career. To be able to follow in his footsteps in some way, of course, not through music, but through martial arts. It was something that I resonate with. It was, hopefully I make him proud as well with it. But that was the moment where it's like, I could do this as a career, be compensated for it, and still love it, stay fit, stay active, be involved in the community. And of course, my friend group was there with me as well.
Nice, man. Yeah, I think we all have similar stories. Like when we were first starting to teach, it's kind of like, all right, you're up next. Like,
I hope you can swim kind of thing.
Yeah. I remember my first time was just like an intro lesson, man. New student came in and it's like, all right, teach them high block punch, front kick, and you got that.
That was it. Yeah. Like, all right, so you want to get started or what?
Yeah, but it's really those moments that's like, wow, like I can do this. Like I really like this, and it's I think it's a great opportunity that we've gotten to experience, and yeah, man. So what led you to become a martial arts business owner? Like,
that's a loaded question. So I think first and foremost, I don't know if you get this a lot, but when we talk about what we do as when I talk to other entrepreneurs or just people in general, like, oh yeah, I own a martial arts school. They go, oh, that's great. Well, what else do you do?
Right. Yeah.
What else do I do? Like, this is it. This is all I do. And I know growing up, people always perceived the martial art career as a like part-time, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock only. Then you got to work your 9 to 5 in the morning. And I'm sure we know many instructors and people who have done that. They had their quote unquote real job. And I hated that concept. Yeah. And very fortunate, I grew up under the Victory Martial Arts System, who is a very successful martial arts entrepreneur in the industry, from not only, of course, in the ATA, but just in the entire martial arts industry. He's someone who has cultivated and created something that is yet to be duplicated in a sense. And I was very fortunate to come up into that organization around 2009 time, where I joined them after my school shut down. And I got to see success firsthand from someone who, again, came from Paraguay and third world country and created something there, and then to grow it in the United States. And I started seeing my instructor, who I remember the time she had like a Lexus. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's driving a Lexus. And that was like the big deal. I was like, this is incredible. So I got to see success early on from people who were actually doing it at a high clip. And it was something I knew I always wanted to do. I didn't know the journey that I would take as far as if I would stay in that system. And very fortunate enough that I was able to find a school that we took over here in New Jersey. Somehow I convinced my wife to move from Texas to New Jersey, who she owned her own salon at the time. And, it's something that comes with its own challenges, but I don't think I would ever look back now. Yeah,
man. So, we talked about a little bit behind the scenes about you, teaching a lot and switching around different schools and running at one point, a couple of schools, right? So how was that transition from, being the director and the program director for someone else's school to finally running your own school? I know you own Innovate here in Jackson.
I think I was a really elite level instructor at that time. I thought I was the man. As I'm sure all we do when we're on that mat, we feel so confident. And I was running a fairly successful location, a lot of great students, competitors, the whole nine. And I felt like I knew, and I felt like I was ready, as far as what we can do off the mat plus on the mat. I felt that I was ready. And then I remember that very first month of taking over, I'm like, oh, I don't have a marketing department anymore. I don't have someone I can just call them like, hey, can we get these printed up? Can we get this created? So then like learning to go back on Photoshop and learning how to do the little things, learning Facebook ads at that time, and all of the little things, paying the rent bill, like the little things that you don't think about, negotiating a lease. As an owner, I don't think sometimes we don't take into account how big those steps are. As a martial artist, I knew I could run what happened from 4 o'clock when the students were on the mat, but all the little stuff behind the scenes, I had to learn from trial and error, which sometimes is the best thing. And sometimes it could be avoided with a little bit more training. And maybe I wasn't ready, but you know what? No different than that very first class. I got thrown into the fire and I put myself in there, and it's been successful ever since. But that's the first couple of months, man, it was a struggle.
Tough. Yeah, man, I can relate. So recently I just saw you won the best school in Ocean County?
So yeah, we won best martial arts school, best summer camp, best after school program. There's another one. We actually won the most eco-green friendly business.
Wow.
Which is, I don't know how we got that one, but hey, we have an app, so we don't print a lot of paper. So I guess that's a big way to be it. But yeah, we won a couple of those, which is super cool.
Nice, man. Nice. And what do you think sets you apart?
Well, it's funny because we're next to a hair salon in the town who they won they won the best hair salon, and they would always have the banner up. And I never knew, hey, how come I don't have that? Why am I not the best? And it was something that I never understood the process of the voting process, which I know you guys just won, so congratulations as well.
Thank you.
And it's something I never knew how to get involved in. I thought we just had to vote and people tell it. And then I realized that there's a whole nother, it starts back in March and April. So I would always see them with the win. I was like, oh, well, how come I don't win it? So I've always wanted it for 7 years. I've always something I wanted. And then it wasn't until we finally started paying attention to the little nuances on how the voting process works. So then I just went crazy with all my students, and I threatened to shave instructors' eyebrows if we don't win, and we're going to close the school if we don't win. So, a little bit of truth and a little bit of humor. It was one of those things where we wanted to get it out there. We felt like we had a very good quality in our product. We felt that we were changing the community, and we just wanted people to know about it. And sometimes putting up that little best of the best sticker on your window gives you just that little bit of, oh, maybe we should check this place out.
Right.
And Jackson has a lot of great martial arts schools in the area. And not that I think we're better than them, because I think martial arts is for everyone. And somebody's gonna walk into my school and say, "This is home to me," and someone may come to my school and say, "Maybe I I don't relate, or I don't vibe, as the young kids say these days, with what's going on in there. And then maybe there's another school down the street, which if you still look at martial arts compared to the big sports, the baseballs, the basketballs, the footballs, we're still at that, like 0.003% of what the population sees as a sport, more so sometimes as an activity. So anybody going into a martial arts school, whether it's mine or the guy down the street, I'm happy because it's growing our industry as a whole.
Right.
Of course, I want them with me, but I'm happy that they're joining the program. And where we stand out is that, I think we've been very fortunate to create some elite level martial arts athletes, but at the same time, we have the families that are getting involved, and they are the first ones to share their experience that they've had with us, with their family and friends. So relatively, before we really did like deep dive into like any type of ads and marketing, everything was just from word of mouth, which, as I'm sure you know, that's the best thing, because we consider anybody who walks onto the mat a part of our family. So we don't want anybody to be a part of our family that you don't trust around your own personal family. Right. So if you're able to tell someone about it and your experience, the sale is done from their experience. There's not it doesn't feel like we're trying to coerce you or sell you to why you should be with us. Your friends you trust, your people that you hang out with, your kids from school, go to school with. This is why you should be here. Yeah, man. I think that's important. What you said is like, within the martial arts industry, I think we have to be a little bit more connected and, support each other, because martial arts school owners, that's not your competitor, like the school down the street. The competitors are the dance studios. Exactly. the soccer. I mean, how many times is so much, hey, Master Turner, I'm going to pause for the summer because we're going to do baseball. We're going to do that. And I'm like, that's weird. Or, hey, I can't make it to testing today because we have a soccer practice. I'm like, soccer practice? This is your testing. And sometimes I think, again, because we are a year-round type sport, but we fall in that like niche of, are we a sport or are we an activity? And I get that we can be both for many different people, but again, as the industry as a whole, we have to like be able to tap in and lean into that a lot more, and again, try to get more people to be involved with what we're doing on a grander scale versus, just say, oh yeah, this is our niche. Right. We're not that. Yeah. That's a great point. Great point. So this podcast, we really wanted it to be about inspiring others to become leaders in life. So how do you think martial arts helps to cultivate leadership? How have you seen it cultivate leadership in your students, in the community? So again, I think back to, I think it was my 7th grade, and we did it was called the Florida Rights, where they give you like a one letter, a one sentence paragraph or whatever, and then you have to build a story off of that. I remember getting mine in school, and it said, if you were stranded on a deserted island with 20 people, what's the one item you would bring? And I chose my black belt. And I created this crazy story of how my black belt shows that I was determined, I was committed to something, I had leadership qualities, because the world of, the outside world relates martial arts and a black belt to like this hierarchy of not only like physical talent, but also there's this prestige that comes with it. Right. So when I think back to leadership as a whole, the commitment to what you're doing on the mat, even though, again, going back to that team sport atmosphere, you can rely on someone else. When you're on the mat and you have to, let's say, break a board or remember a form or a competition, you got no one to rely on but yourself. And that level of self-accountability or to, self-discipline to be able to perform at a high level, or to go through a challenge, like say a board break where you're struggling and it's something that is an obstacle put in front of you and you go through it, you learn from that. Or same side that you didn't break it, you didn't do well, you messed up. And how you deal with that adversity or that obstacle or that challenge, whatever you want to call it, allows you to either grow or, of course, you're going to run and hide. Right. So when I think about the martial arts and the level of leadership that we're able to create from the generic stuff, right? The self-esteem, the confidence, the belief, the respect. Those are all qualities that I think individual, as no matter what career you're in, you want to have someone with discipline, with self-esteem. But then we create it not only in a healthy atmosphere that creates, safety, fitness, and fun, but also we're creating those core life values that as an individual, as a person, as a father, I want my daughter to have, whether she does martial arts or not. Well, she doesn't really have a choice, but whether she continues with it as a career or not, I want her to have those core life values. And we can do that in a very unique way through a kicking and a punching and standing. And a bow is not because you're bowing to me because I'm the master. You bow as a sign of respect and understand that, hey, I'm here to learn humility. Let me learn from you. Right? I can say that I'm this whatever degree, but I come here and I can talk to you and be humble and learn something from you, no different than I hope you can learn something from me.
Of course.
And that is something that, we always say that Matt's like the equalizer. Whether you're a doctor, a construction worker, a teacher, a pharmacist, whatever you are, when you come on the mat, you're Mr. This, Miss That, or you're a yellow button, you're doing the same thing as everyone else. There's no social status to it. Doesn't matter any other atmosphere sometimes in life, we kind of have our little groups and we separate ourselves out. In school, we had the jocks, the nerds, the cliques, right? And on the mat, you literally have to be like everyone else. You're wearing that white uniform like everybody else. Nothing sets you apart. Your rank, but then now you have to take that rank and help the next person below you. And it doesn't matter what social class you come from. You're there to lead through an experience, through somebody who wants to better themselves or better, their loved ones in that sense.
Yeah, no, I like that. The equalizer. I like that. What we always like to say is we use martial arts really as a tool to teach character development skills.
Exactly.
Right. And so I think it's just so important to continue to inspire more kids to join.
Definitely.
Some type of martial arts, right?
Something.
It's helpful.
Let's switch. Primarily ours, though.
Yeah. Let's switch gears a little bit, right? So I know you're a family man. Let's talk a little bit about how you balance family, the martial arts school, and how your training in the martial arts has helped you balance, those two things. So,
disclaimer, as I'm terrible at it.
Okay.
I have a almost 2-year-old daughter, and then I have our nephew that lives with us. And then, of course, I have my wife. And when we first opened the school, it was just me and her, and we were doing it together. And that comes with its own set of challenges, like teaching and working alongside your spouse, who she never did martial arts, never. And she leaned in and supported my dream of doing it as a career and as an owner. And she leaned in and she jumped in, and she was behind the desk selling memberships and doing the whole nine without zero experience in it whatsoever. So that created its own set of challenges that we had to learn as a business, and then also hey, when we go home, we're not that anymore. And that was a very hard struggle for us for a while. Now going into it, having our nephew and our daughter, it's tough. As as any entrepreneur knows, there's no time, the clock, you don't clock out, right? So, if I'm home and I get a call from my instructor at 9:00 at night, this could be, a big serious thing. I got to take it, or it could be nothing. So learning to have that balance is something I'm still struggling to get. I think I'm getting better at it. I would hope so. We try to make sure we take trips that are not martial arts related. Sometimes we get so caught up with, there's a tournament over here, and we turn it into like a family trip. But being able to divide and have like, hey, this is our family time. This is it. So we're getting better at it, and we're very fortunate that and I know you have a young kid as well. It's like that 9 a.m. till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Once they go to school, you don't have that. So, but instead of, maybe I'm not at home at any time at 5 o'clock for dinner time or 6 o'clock, but I get a lot of time in the morning. So we try to take value in that, and do things where we're making our time. We're trying to make sure that we have the time, whatever time I do have with her, especially if it's in the morning time, take full advantage of that time to be there and play with her and do stuff. I'm a big sneakerhead, so we walk the Nike every single. We'll go. Okay. We have a Nike outlet right next to us, so I'll go there, and all the Nike employees know my daughter because she's always there with like some of the cool shoes, and nice. So that's fun. So creating those things that we have that are unique to us is where I think I'm doing better, but I need to find time to be able to turn off Master Turner and just be dad. And it's a struggle. Yeah, no, I like that last piece, man. Like, my daughter started training when she was like 3, 4. She would take class, but always run off because she would see me, still working, answering some calls, moving around. And I realized that the only way, or what she needed, was for me to sit down and be dad, not Mr. Luan. Right. And I struggle that with my nephew. It's like, even inside the school, like, because I see his potential, I'm like, bend your knees. And I'm like, he's every other student. Right. And I think to the point where he actually sees like Mr. Walls or like some of my other instructing staff, those are his instructors. I'm not his instructor. And when we go to tournaments, I'm getting pulled in 100 different directions, but I know that sometimes I got to sit there and just watch him and be engaged, even though I have another student maybe competing, or I have a judging assignment here, or this instructor needs to talk to me. So that, especially at tournaments, it's something I'm really struggling with. And he also is getting to the point, he's 15, so he understands too that, hey, my uncle's not the everyday parent to come to watch the tournament. We're here because unfortunately he has a role. This is also work for him. So we find that equal balance sometimes, and then hopefully when we're not doing martial arts, it's, being able to cut off and be that, dad in a sense.
Yeah. So what are the plans for the school for the future? What are your
take over? Right now we have 2 locations. We were contemplating a third one. We were really close to it, I think, but we have a great instructing staff. I have a phenomenal general manager who just, is a rock star. We want to get to that point, but we also don't want to force it. And, we want to continue where we're at. We're doing well with our 2 schools. We have a lot of students who compete on a high clip. And it's just kind of continuing that product. And for me as an entrepreneur and as an instructor, is I want to get to the point where I get to teach class because I want to, not because I have to. And it's not to take away from my students, but also because as an entrepreneur, sometimes I want to find myself working on the business, not in the business. And because I know that if I can sit down for a day to work out maybe a new class plan or create some new drills, something new and exciting for the students, even though I think I'm much needed sometimes on the mat, finding that balance where I can also equally have time to work off the mat on the business, that way it can help grow and continue to create that same level of leadership without me having to do every single class. Although I love teaching, I think I'll always do it, there has to become a balance because also, again, my instructing staff wants to get better. I know in order for that to happen, I also have to move out of the way to allow them to grow. So that's the goal within the next, couple months to a year or two is to hopefully just continue to have the rock star team of instructors that allow me to kind of go in and help and be there with them. We had to open the second location because we grew too fast inside the one school we're at, and we have after school program where I had students who just thought I was the bus driver, which is a great feeling. And they're like, oh yeah, who's this guy? Why is he here? And when somebody had a question, they would walk past me to my other staff member. That's how I knew this. Like, we had to grow because inside of our one location, we were stepping hand over feet on one another. So when we opened the second school, now we were able to separate that staff and allow them to grow a little bit, but we still got more to do. Yeah, no, that's great. With owning a martial arts school, I think it's important to be involved in the community, be that kind of like mayor of the town, to help, again, inspire more kids to do martial arts. What are some of the ways that you guys have been leading in the community? And so we just finished a food supply drive for our the Jackson Township food pantry. And I think it was over 600 pounds of food. Wow. It's 75 huge bags of food that we donated from both locations. And we talk a lot about leadership. We talk about taking action, and we sometimes we talk about gratitude, right? Giving back and being thankful for what you have. And sometimes you can show that level of generosity is giving just because. So that that's something we teach in our leadership classes, giving without expecting compensation or reward. Mm-hmm. You give because it helps you to feel good. And something as far as one can of food can go so long for someone who doesn't need it. And sometimes we think about what's happening overseas, and those things are terrible, or in third world countries. But sometimes it's happening in our own local community. There could be kids that our students who go to school with who didn't have a heat on because they were just couldn't afford it, or right. They're sleeping in the car and they don't know. And sometimes we want to be able to help on a global scale, but sometimes helping locally is the best way to give back. And although they may not see it in that moment, but they're doing good, and we can teach the students to do that. And we do that from our community standpoint to give back like that to the Jackson Food Pantry in this case. We've also donated toys and have done some stuff like the Ronald McDonald houses. We're trying to work on something where we actually take our teenager core group, and we actually go and we cook for all of the families at the Ronald McDonald House. So we're nice. Looking to do that here in the near future. And then the big one we have coming up is we are hosting our tournament for the region down in Atlantic City in April. And one of my black belts, unfortunately, just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, who has been with me for years, state champion, district champion, second-degree black belt, incredible student, and he's going through that. So we're getting ready to launch I'm Competing for Alex campaign, where we're going to be creating some funds that go back to this family. I mean, the mom's a black belt with me, the daughter's black belt with me, and this kid is the nicest, quietest kid in the world, but you wouldn't know that he was struggling with this behind the scenes. And so we're getting ready to launch this big campaign to help give back to him. And really doing it from aspect of competition so that, the kids aren't necessarily raising money, but through their competing, that they're going to be competing for something bigger than a medal.
Yeah.
They're competing for something that hopefully will be able to give back on a financial scale to help this family out going through, this journey that they're just now starting.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's learn a little bit more about Evan Turner. What are some of the things that you like, besides the martial arts? Heard you're a sneakerhead.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's hear I know nothing about sneakers.
No, man.
But
yeah.
What are the top three, I guess? What top three sneakers?
Right now that I have or that I'm looking at?
Up to you.
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think I'm on the sneakers app more than I'm on my own business app, unfortunately. I don't know, man. Right now, my wife and I just got a pair of the Kobe reverse Grinches that just dropped the other day. So we got those coming in. I got my pair of Lost and Founds that I love a lot. I'm working on getting some Fear Pack 4s. That's the grail that I need to get to. But, we between my wife, my daughter, and I think we have close to 50 pairs.
Oh, wow. So you got the whole family involved.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm a good role model or a bad role model in that sense.
Do you do any of the flipping and stuff? Or
no, it's all for the foot. I mean, this pair of Grinches that we just got, the Kobe ones, we might have to get rid of them because they're selling at a crazy high amount.
Yeah.
But no, I love it too much. I'm a collector of sorts. Of course, I think many people got into during COVID time, I went nuts in Pokemon cards.
Okay.
It brought back that level of nostalgia. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is crazy. I have a very addictive personality, which benefits me in a lot of ways, but also I think my wife is like, pump the brakes a little bit, pump the brakes. But yeah, I mean, I try to continue to be a calm, cool, relaxed kind of person 95% of the time. I never want to get too high, get too low on certain things in life, but I mean, who I am, I love music. I love to be adventurous. I love to dance. I love comedy. Just being able to be Evan is something that sometimes in the martial arts world, we're so used to putting on our belt and being Mr. this or Master that. But sometimes it's cool just to sit at home and relax and be Evan. I think back to all of our years in martial arts, and we've been very fortunate to train different people in different atmospheres and different walks of life. A great mentor of mine that I work with a lot, he's out in India, and he has over 400 dental clinics that he's in charge of. And this is someone who is literally in charge of the cream of the crop, huge corporation business, millions and billions of dollars. And I've seen him literally be at home with his kids and be the most relaxed, fun person. I've seen him out where he's the life of the party dancing. And although he could be dealing with problems that I couldn't even comprehend, he knows how to turn it off and just be fun and be him. And it's something that I definitely want to inspire to take on in my life.
Yeah, no, and that's another reason why we wanted to do this podcast is that as martial artists, some of our students might not get to see this side.
No, definitely.
Of you. So I think it's important to share your story.
Yeah, I think most of them think I'm mean and not funny, but I'm definitely funny.
Yeah,
and I'm not mean.
Yeah, I get the same. I get the looks when I come in. Some of the kids are like, "Oh no,
yeah,
he's gonna teach."
They're like, "Oh, I get so intimidated when you're here." I'm like, "Why? Like, what did I do? Because I want you to be better. I'm sorry."
It's been a great time, Master Turner. Any final thoughts or remarks on kids that might want to start their own business, start a martial arts school, become leaders in life?
I mean, it's hard. I think entrepreneurship is something that is sometimes lost a lot as we see through a lot of the culture, and you don't see it so much sometimes on outside of, let's say, the United States, and people are hungry and happy and growing to do that. And sometimes, again, the education system is something we rely on so much, but sometimes it's that getting pushed into the fire that, you got to do it. And again, that gentleman, his name is Amar Singh, who has the dental clinics. He said, in order to be an entrepreneur, you have to be an idiot. Because when you have a sense of someone who's, you got to guarantee this or guarantee that, and you're willing to bet on nothing but yourself, you got to be a little bit of an idiot. Hopefully you're not too much of an idiot and you lose everything, but you got to be a little bit of an idiot because it's that risk that you have to take. So I highly encourage anybody, of course, not just for entrepreneurship and again, when it comes to martial arts, you're able to create something that is so unique. And of course you want to be able to be financially compensated for yourself and be able to live a life for your family and provide. But at the same time, when you watch that student grow from a shy, nervous kid to someone who's confident, doesn't matter if they won anything, titles or whatever, those things don't necessarily matter. But you watch someone who actually changes who they are as an individual.
All right, Master Turner, it's been a pleasure to have you here today. One of the things that I liked the most was getting to speak to another martial arts school owner behind the scenes. I don't really get the opportunity to do that much, to hear your side, the family side, and how you came up the ranks and how martial arts has inspired you. Really motivational, and I appreciate you coming on today. So what are your final thoughts or advice for upcoming kids, entrepreneurs that want to become a martial arts school owners or leaders in life?
Definitely. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to continue the relationship and grow and learn more about you guys, what you're doing here as well.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you guys have a phenomenal school. I love the graphics. Our term is going to be a white and black theme. So I'm like over here stealing some ideas on top of my head. I was told once that you got to be an idiot to be an entrepreneur. And that's something that was resonating with me. The gentleman who I'm talking about from India, his name is Amar Singh. He is someone that I've seen on two different scales, where he is not only one of the most elite Harvard graduate business entrepreneurs in the world, but he is someone who enjoys life to the fullest. And when he's off, he knows how to spend time with his kids. His daughters love him. I've seen him in the middle of a dance floor going crazy. And it's one of those things where, again, he said you got to be an idiot to do it. And it's something that I resonate with, because sometimes I do feel like an idiot, and as many of us do. But through martial arts, it's something that I was definitely very fortunate to be relatively well at as a competitor. I felt like I was definitely a talented instructor, and I got to cultivate those relationships. Now on the flip side of doing it as a career, it was challenging, but it's also something I would never turn back. I couldn't go back. I don't think I could work for somebody again because of the ability to see and have a vision and to bring it to reality, not only on the business side, but also for a student-based side. It's incredible. But when it comes to martial arts, it's one of those things that I want to see more people get involved with, and I would love to see more owners and step up, because we have crazy talented people who are very passionate, very skilled, and sometimes they don't know that this can be a career that could be one that is fruitful for everyone and be able to provide a lifestyle. Like I said, when someone goes, "Oh, so what else do you do?" It's like a direct slap in the face. So to see somebody in a light where we have some crazy, crazy successful martial artists on both sides, whether it's on the financial side of things, but also at the same time as people who have created some incredible students, incredible journeys, incredible stories, lines that you could just follow. I think there's more we tap into that. There's more we continue to keep that conversation going and allow the students to see that, hey, there is an opportunity for this beyond just the competition side of things. And there's a much bigger side of the pie that not only are you giving back to your community, but you're also able to provide a lifestyle for your family. And I think that through the leadership life skills that we teach in every single class that can, of course, go into any area in life and any career path you choose, if you're great at it already and you love it, lean into it a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Master Turner, it's been such a pleasure to have you here today. This has been another episode of On the Mat Chat podcast, where we're bringing on entrepreneurs, business owners like Master Turner to share their stories, to help inspire the community to become leaders in life. So I hope you guys like, subscribe, share, all that, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.